So now we'll create a new project. So I have just opened Visual Studio 2022. We are going to select Blazor Web App. Next, and let's name it Blazing URLs. Location D Blazor. All right. Next, authentication type. We need authentication in this one. So we'll choose individual accounts. Then interactive render mode. Let's select auto. Interactivity location per page component is fine. Include sample pages. Okay. We'll clean those up. Create. It is going to create a project for us. And okay. So it has generated two projects for us, Blazing URLs and Blazing URLs.client. Okay. Because when we talk about interactive auto, it is going to use both the interactive modes, interactive server and interactive WebAssembly. So the way it is going to work, whatever we put in this client project, that is going to the browser. So we are not going to put any sensitive or secure information or anything related to that in this client project. Okay, whatever server related stuff we have, we are going to put it in this main Blazing URLs project. All right, so these two solutions, these two projects in this solution, let's run it quickly, then we'll start adding our things. I hope you guys are already familiar with InteractiveAuto Render Mode, how it works. If you are not, I already have a quick video related to this. So explaining render modes and then explaining how to fetch data in InteractiveAuto Render Mode, because that part is a bit tricky, because the same component is going to get data using server. When we say server, using SignalR for the on the first whenever we first visit that particular page, and for all the subsequent pages it is going to use WebAssembly. That means there is no direct call to server. So for next subsequent visits it is going to fetch data from server using HTTP calls, using API. So same component, same thing, but it will get data using two different mechanisms. Okay, so for this also I already have a video on my channel, that how to get data from server using with Blazor Interactive Auto. So this video, I'm going to drop link of this video in the description box as well, so that you will have some understanding what we are doing in this current video if you already watched this video. All right, so let's see, it just opened this up. So this is fine. Now we'll start adding our data first. So in data, if we check, we already have one migration, application DB context and application user, which came from that individual account authentication, which we selected already. So it is using Microsoft identity, ASP.NET Core identity. So in this, the same data folder, maybe we can create entities folder, or we can reuse this, we can add those directly here. So I'm going to add the entities first. We need two entities. One is for link, the URL, and one is for that URL analytics. Okay, so that URL analytics we could say. So we could call it link or URL, whatever you want. I'm using link. Okay, so public class link here. First thing, we need one ID. So let's use long ID. Then we'll have long URL. Then we are going to have two things here. So one is going to be short code and then one is going to be short URL. Why two different things? That's because we might use different domain to resolve our short URLs. What I mean is, right now, if you check from here, if you go to my links, right now all these short URLs are using this blz_url.in/c, then this shortcode. This is shortcode, this section. In this particular case, this 3m1qd8, this is shortcode, and this complete thing is short URL. Okay, so if we want to maybe extend this project, maybe we want to make this domain configurable, then short code and short URL might be different. And maybe you could implement it as a SaaS platform where you are allowing user to provide their own custom domain, then also it is going to help you out in that particular case. Okay, so we are going to use this approach. So short code, and then one property, let's increase the font, string short URL. All right, after that we will have one user ID who created this link, right? And then one more, if this link is active, so bool is active, all these fields we need. Okay, and if you are following me, you would know that I love data annotations, so I'm going to add these things here. So for long URL, I want this required, and we will have short min length and max length. So let's say min length of 10 and maximum length of somewhat 250, or you can adjust it as per your requirement. Then short code, this is again going to be required with a length of, let's say we'll have minimum length of 6 characters and maximum length of, I don't know, maybe 10. Then comes short URL, so minimum length 10 because this is a URL, or maybe, yeah, 10 should be, no, yeah, let's have 10 should be fine. And then max length maybe 50 because this is a short URL. All right, then we have user ID. This is again going to be required, and length we can skip it. This is going to be a navigation property basically. Then we have is active, and we are good. So on this we have this user ID, which is actually going to point to this application user entity, which came with ASP.NET Core identity, right? When we chose that individual accounts authentication. So in this application user, if you go to identity user, and its base class is identity user of type string, and here we are going to have this ID, which is of type string in this particular case. So this user ID is going to be of type string, and then we can define a navigation property using this. So we'll say public application user, okay, and we are going to make it virtual, and now we are good. Our Blink entity is ready. Okay, then we need one more for our analytics. So for that, in this data folder only, let's create one more entity. Let's call it link analytic. Here we need one ID, so we'll use public long ID. Then we are going to use link ID, okay, which is going to be that navigation property which will point to this link entity we just created. After link ID, we will track when this link was clicked. So date time, we'll say click that, save, and now you can extend this application by having other fields in this link analytics, maybe the IP address that click came from, right? The referrer from where this, no, referrer, yeah, referrer can also be a case that from which domain, which URL this link got clicked from. So there could be multiple things, right? So for the sake of simplicity, for this particular application, we are just going to track click that, when that link, that short link was clicked. All right, now we have this link id, so let's have the navigation property here, which will be of type link. Let's call it link only, and we'll make it virtual. Save. This id is going to be key, and that's all. Save everything, and we are good. All right, now in link, let's add one to this is one to many relationship. One link is going to have multiple link analytics. So in link, let's create one more property here, public I collection of link analytics. Link analytics, we are going to call it this. Let's add virtual, and now we are good. Okay, we can add inverse property as well if we want, but because this is the same name, we can have it, or maybe let's add. So we'll say inverse property, the name of property. When we say inverse property, that means whatever property we are having here. So in link analytics, what is the name of the property which points to this entity, right? So if you go to link analytic class, there the property name is this link, which is navigation property, which is pointing back to the link entity, right? This one. So here we are going to say link analytic dot link. This is the name of inverse property. So by default, it follows the convention. The name of this entity, it is directly going to use that. If that's not the case, maybe instead of link, we named it something else, maybe original link or anything. In that case, it benefits us, so we can use this thing. So now it is able to figure out that how this mapping is, how these two entities are mapped with each other, right? But we are not going to use that. We'll use simple thing, link. By the way, do let me know in the comment if you are familiar with all these and of all these EF core related stuff, this mapping and all these things. If, or maybe I can create a dedicated video for this, for explaining all these EF core related stuff. Do let me know in the comment if you want a dedicated video for this, and please like this video if you haven't already, and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. All right, so now we are good. We have link analytics, we have link. Now we just need to add these to our application DB context, right? So which is already there. EF core, this ASP.NET Core identity already created this for us. So we are going to add those two entities here as a DB set. So DB set link links. I'll copy this, and then link analytic and link analytics. So now we have all these things ready now. So we have already a migration for ASP.NET Core identity related stuff, that user management and all those things. We have added these two things, link and link analytics. So let's add migration for these two. Okay, so for this, what we'll do, we'll simply go to tools, or maybe we can directly go there. So package manager, here we have package manager console. We'll go there, and here we'll say add migration, and let's say initial migration, or maybe let's say add link entities. This name is up to you. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, but the output we want in a separate folder, so we need it in data/migrations. Here we need the output of this migration, because we already have migration in that folder. By default, it adds those migration in the data directly in migration folder on the root. Build succeeded, and now it has generated this in the migrations folder only. If you see, this is the migration, and here we can verify what all we have in this migration. So it is going to create this table links with ID, big int, identity, 11, long URL, short code, short URL, user ID is active. It is going to add primary key, then foreign key with user ID. Then we have link analytics with ID, link ID, click date time, big int, primary key on ID, then foreign key on link ID. And then it is going to create the indexes. Create index on link ID and user ID. Alright. We should have one more thing. We should have one more index, that unique key index, right? On link. Because the short code, it should be unique. Okay, let's add this as well. So for this, we'll go to our DB context. Here we are going to override one method, which is going to be on model creating. Okay, this time we should call this base.onModel creating, because in this identity, ASP.NET Core identity must be setting up its stuff. We go here, if we go to this one, it must be setting this on model creating version 2, on model creating, on model creating. Alright, so when we work with this, it's always better to use the base version as well. And after this, we'll add our thing. So for our thing, we'll say builder.entity link. And on this link, we'll say, no, these mapping has one with many, has foreign key. All these we have already set up with those data annotation and all those navigation properties. Okay, now we need to add the index. So we'll say has index l.shortcode. We are going to add an index on this, and we'll add is unique. So this is going to be unique. All right. All right. So this means we need to generate one more migration now. So let's again go back to package manager console. Let's add a migration, and this time we'll say, let's say add shortcode unique index. Shortcode, right? Yes. All right, let's press enter. And we have this order column shortcode. On this, it is going to create an index. Okay, unique index. So save it. Now we are good. Now we can run these migrations in our database, right? So before that, if we directly go to app settings.json, here we see default connection which this application is using. If we go to program.cs, here we can see it has connection string builder.configuration.get connection string from default connection. So it is by default using this. We can change it if we want. Let's say blazing URLs connection, we can change it easily. And then we'll go to app settings and we can change this name. All right, so I'll adjust this connection string. So what I'm gonna do, server is dot, which is a default instance of SQL Server in my machine. Then database name, it is using this long thing, but I'm going to use just blazing URLs YT. And I can leave everything else like this only. The only thing I'll add for my local, I'll say encrypt equals false. Okay, and I don't have user ID password, so I can also use integrated security true, which is for Windows authentication in SQL Server. Okay, so you can adjust it as per your system or your requirement. And one more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this section from app settings.json and I'm going to add it to app settings.development.json so that I can have environment specific connection strings. Okay, if you don't have this app setting.development.json, you can simply create this file. I'll simply cut this from here. I'll go to app setting.development.json and I'm going to paste it. You can paste it anywhere in this JSON file on the root basically. It shouldn't be inside logging. So logging is one key, then connection string is a separate key. Alright. So save it. Everything will work same. No change. Now we have connection string ready. We have migrations ready. Now we can go to package manager console and from here we can run a command update database. Press enter. What it is going to do, it is going to first check if we already have this database created. If not, it will create database, then it is going to run all these migrations. That means it is going to create all our tables there. It has created and we can see whatever SQL command it has run. So we can check it is creating table here, this links table, link analytics table, creating index, ASP.NET role users. All these are ASP.NET identity related tables. So our database should be ready now. Alright, so save everything and now we are good. Our database related stuff, DB context, entities, all that is done, and migrations, all that is done. Now we'll start working on our UI. I'll close all tabs.